function macros were in the game for quite a while before we actually started properly using them. And then after a certain point, we were like, you know what, this thing can't really be done easily without macros, so I think we're just going to start using them. And after we did, it definitely made our lives a lot easier.
It's like such a good feature.
Hello, I'm Gears.
And I'm Moxvallix, and welcome to the Datapack podcast.
Yes, hello, and welcome. This is the first episode, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. Today we are talking about the technical aspect of Minecraft Datapacks. So I'm sure if you're clicking on this video, you probably know what a datapack is. If you don't, well, you probably should, because otherwise you won't really get what we're talking about in this episode. So, without further ado, we can start talking about technical datapacks.
Yeah. So, Gears, how did you get into technical datapacks in the first place?
Yeah, so I think the first real technical datapack I made was called Fungecraft. So basically at the time, I was into this thing in programming called esoteric programming languages, or ESOLangs for short, which are basically programming languages which are created to be sort of difficult to program in, or weird in some kind of way. And in particular, I was interested in this language called Bufunge, which is basically a programming language that works in 2 dimensions. Now, if you've ever done any programming, if you've programmed a datapack, you essentially know that the order of the program is determined by the order in which you write the commands. So the commands at the top of the file will run first, and the commands at the bottom of the file run last.
Yep.
Now, Bufunge takes it slightly differently. In Bufunge, you start at the top left, and you start moving right, and you can use commands to change the direction of the program, change the way that the program is flowing. So you basically end up sort of going in all around the screen in a 2D world and executing instructions as you go. And I thought it would be pretty cool, since it's quite like a sort of a spatial language. I could probably make that in Minecraft with a datapack. So I did. I made a datapack which would look at blocks in Minecraft world, and it would interpret them all as instructions. And I made a video on it, so if you want to see me trying to make that, I will link the video on screen now. But yeah, that is pretty much how I originally got into technical datapacks. That was the first real one I made. But what about you? How did you get there, Moxvallix?
Yeah, so I've been, for years I was just, playing around with commands and datapacks, and I started getting into Datapack jams, which is something we'll probably talk about at a later time. But for one of the Datapack jams, we made a Datapack called The Other Side, which was basically a Skulk dimension. 1.19 was fairly new at the time, and I wanted to explore what a Skulk dimension would be like. But part of that is I wanted to make... I've always had a bit of an issue with the Minecraft inventory system, and I wanted to try and see if I could make have the Datapack provide some way of helping with that. So I started toying around with the idea of custom bundles, and the fact that you can actually store arbitrary NBT data in items. And that led me to toy around a lot with the /data command, and obviously the /execute store and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of fell in love with that side of data packing. and then
Yeah, I find
it's
that like technical data packs are sort of, yeah, it's quite different to the rest of Datapacks. It's more like actual programming.
yeah,
And I find that it's a lot less, how do I say, like, I feel like there's quite a lot of tweaking involved with making a data pack. Like, you know, if you're making a sword that poisons everyone around it when you use it, you got to like tweak the radius and make sure that all your calculations are correct, so you don't accidentally like do something wrong, and you got to like polish everything quite a lot.
yeah,
Whereas with the technical data pack, I find there's a lot less need to do that somehow.
yeah. Like the focus isn't on tweaking small details, small visual
Yeah.
details, or like toying around with little bits of like little values and stuff. It's much more about the logic behind it. It's
Yeah, like I
figuring
feel
out.
like sorry, continue with what you're saying.
Yeah, it's figuring out the ways that you're going to accomplish these tasks that are very much not intended to be done with a data pack. And I think there's something really interesting to that.
Yeah, like I think a lot of data packs, it's there's like this sort of expectation that they're all going to be highly polished and like super clean experiences, which if you've ever made data packs before, you know is quite hard, or at least I find it very hard to make everything like really well balanced and make everything fun to play and exactly get the output that you wanted, because
Yeah,
there is a lot of those just like tweaking values, just like, okay, what should the distance be on this certain thing, or how many things should I need to craft a certain item, etc. And I just, it's kind of tedious, and it just takes a lot of work, and you've got to really know the exact output that you want. Whereas with the technical
yeah.
data pack, you can just sort of like make something, and if the logic is sound, then it works, you know?
Yeah. You get to you don't have to focus so much on the polished like the polished end user experience. You focus a lot more on just doing a cool thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, tedious is definitely the right word for it, I'd say. Just there's so much to data packs that's just jank is the term I would use.
Yeah.
It's just janky. Yeah. And I guess I mean the methods we end up using with our technical data packs still often are quite janky, but
Yeah,
maybe
but
not in the
there's
same
less
way.
like sort of things that you need to tweak,
Yeah,
because, you know, I don't know, there's just some sort of aspect about technical, how, like, what technical data packs like typically are, that means you don't really have to toy with values like that the whole time.
yeah,
And yeah, so basically after I made Fungecraft, I was like, oh yeah, this is actually really cool. I can make all sorts of things with data packs. And I was actually, I never finished it, but I started working on a second data pack, a second technical data pack for another video, which was based off another esoteric programming language called Pete, which is basically where you program using pixel art, and the program is also a two-dimensional thing, and yeah, basically it like sort of walks through the pixels and sees what color they are and everything. So I was going to make that
yeah.
in
That's cool.
Minecraft, but I never finished it because we actually started working on a different data pack.
Yeah,
This was the two of us, and this is basically where we started working together, and we started properly working on stuff. We did actually know each other from a previous project that we'd worked on, right? That
yeah.
again also never got finished.
Yeah, there was a few things. I'd been in your Minecraft quiz video, I
Oh
believe.
yeah.
And then yeah, we did start as well another project that unfortunately never ended up going anywhere. But it was a really
Mm.
cool idea, and I'm not going
Yeah.
to say it because it still might happen one day. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But
that's a
who knows if it if it ever will.
who knows? Who knows at this point? Um,
Um.
I'm just
Yeah.
hiding in this temple
But
right now.
so
Ooh-wee.
after, yeah, exactly, as you say, you were in that video which I made, and then after that we were working on another video, which again I'm not going to say because it may still happen. I'm hoping it'll still happen because it was quite a fun concept.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were just like talking about planning it out basically, and then it turned out that the Datapack jam was coming up. So
I think it was the next day even. I think it might
yeah,
have
it was the
been.
next day or like that week basically. I
Yeah.
seem to remember. So yeah, essentially we just got talking, and so if you don't know what the Datapack jam is, we're probably going to do an episode about it later. But essentially, it's this competition, which, if you've ever heard of a game jam before, it's just like that. You basically get a limited period of time to make a data pack based on a certain theme, and then after that limited period of time, they'll get judged, and the best data pack wins. It's a really fun concept. If you make data packs and you don't know about it, I definitely recommend checking it out. I'll leave a link to the Discord server in the description so you can see
Yeah.
that. But
It's a
basically,
good time, great little community. Well
yeah,
worth giving it a go.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
a lot
you
of
keep
fun.
going, sorry.
So basically, the data pack jam was coming up, and in the data pack jam, you're allowed to compete in teams. You're allowed to have a team of people working on a data pack, so that it's not just one person doing it by themselves. So, yeah, me and Moxvallix decided we would team up for the next Datapack Jam. And
And
yeah, well, the rest is history, really. Basically, what happened is the theme was revealed to be ancient technology, right? And yeah, well, I'll let you explain what happened.
right. Well, recently, snapshot 23W03A, I believe it was.
Yeah,
In my mind, a historic snapshot, but it added it added a small little feature to MC function, really, that allowed you to take just a segment of a string. So, for anyone that's not so familiar on the NBT side of data packing, a string is basically anything enclosed into like any letters, numbers, whatever characters you want, enclosed in two quotation marks, essentially. And up until this point, there was no way to get segments of those strings. You had to work with the entire string. Now you could compare that string with other strings to see if they matched. There were methods of doing that, and there were methods of filtering the strings out and stuff like that. But
but
there
yeah, you
wasn't a way
couldn't.
to get a segment of the string
Yeah,
until that snapshot. And at that point, we could turn a string into a whole array of characters. So we could split it up each character by character, and then that meant we could actually iterate over those characters. So we could perform code for each different character in the string. And well, we had the idea of making a programming language.
right. So I'm just
Uh,
gonna step in here and say that yeah. So after I made Fungecraft, obviously that was a programming language, right? And obviously, normally when you think of a programming language, you think of text in a file, right? But since in Minecraft, as Moxvallix said, text would be represented as a string, and up until that point, it was, impossible to take bits of a string, and you'd have to look at the whole string at once. So it would be impossible to make a traditional programming language as like a written piece of text, and that's why I made it be represented as blocks instead. But ever since I made that, I always wanted to make some sort of written programming language, even though it was technically impossible at the time. So as soon as it became possible, literally that week, and then as soon as we had the theme Ancient Technology, I just really wanted some kind of programming language, because it would really just like complete, that sort of thing that I'd started when I'd made Fungecraft, and it would be like a real programming language.
Yeah, and like we agreed to do the Datapack jam together. We were in the call just after the theme had been announced, and we were like, let's make a written programming language. And we were like, is it possible? And we opened up a Google Doc, we planned some things out, and we're like, hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And then we did that for an entire year.
Yeah, so at the time of recording, it's just been like a year anniversary of that Datapack that we made for the Datapack Jam in a week, and we kept on working on it for a year afterwards, and we're finally sort of giving it a rest so we can work on other stuff. But
like
actually,
this podcast.
Yeah, but actually, a programming language in Minecraft wasn't the first idea that we came up with after the new snapshot came out. Because I remember we were in the call, right, talking about this video idea that I'd had, and I think it was like Friday or Saturday or something, and Minecraft snapshots come out on a Wednesday. So it had been, a couple of days since the snapshot had come out, and we were thinking about what kind of things we could make using this new string, string manipulation feature. And we came up with the idea of implementing a regular expression parser in Minecraft Datapacks. Now, you might not know what a regular expression is. I'm not going to go into detail here. I think that would be beyond the scope of this podcast, but basically it's just it's essentially a way of specifying a pattern to match against a string. So, for example, regular expressions are used a lot in matching, in like determining whether or not a string is a valid email, because basically what you can do is you can say it's something something at something.com, for example, and that would only match things which are something at something.com. And you can do
super
much more
useful for
things.
handling strings in any sense.
Yeah.
Very useful there. Obviously they have their limitations. There's actually an old programming joke here. You solve a problem with regex, and well, now you've got two problems. And it's somewhat famous for being hard to read, but you learn it. But it is super useful, regex. Well,
It's
maybe
super
useful in Minecraft.
Yeah, not necessarily in Minecraft, because you don't work with text a lot. But the point wasn't for it to be useful. The point was, can we make a working regular expression engine in Minecraft, right? In vanilla Minecraft, using only commands. And as it turned out later, we could, right? And it was a lot of fun to work on. But yeah, as I said, we actually worked on the programming language first, because it was the Datapack Jam, and I'm not sure the judges would be that impressed if we turned up with like, hey, we can check if your email is valid in Minecraft. I don't think that would have been a particularly
that might be pushing it a little bit.
But on the other hand, making a programming language is, one, impressive, and also two, you can. Oh,
Sorry, I
for
just got
those of
blown up
you-
by a creeper.
yeah. If you're just listening to the podcast, then yeah, that's what just happened. I don't know where you are. I don't know what you're doing.
I don't know where I am either.
I don't know where I am either. Anyway,
Can I have your chords real quick?
Oh yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, we basically came up with an idea because a programming language is cool, but the Datapack Jam is more about creating like a playable experience. So what we did is we sort of turned the programming language into like a sort of thing that you can use in Minecraft to help you. So we made it so that you can control these little robots essentially in Minecraft to go and do stuff for you. And since it was like a little bit after the Minecraft mob vote, I think it was a couple of months after the mob vote.
Yeah,
And
I think. Yeah, it wasn't too long after that. It was still fresh in our minds, basically.
yeah, the Copper Golem had been one of the candidates for the vote, and it hadn't won. So we decided
It should
to
have
make,
won. It was the cool one. Just putting it out there.
that was, yeah, I voted for the LA, I think. It was
Okay,
that,
the LA was cool
one,
as well. Yeah, I did like
Yeah.
the LA. But
So yeah, we made like a little copper golems, which you could program with a programming language, and yeah, we managed to make something within a week, which actually functioned. Well, I say that if you if you were to go back and look at version 0.1.0 of the Code of Copper Datapack, it doesn't work very well. It has quite a lot of bugs in it, but you know,
it was a week.
we had a week.
It was a week.
So,
Yeah, I think we did well for a week. A lot of time constraints, and I was actually on a holiday, a family holiday, while doing it, so I had to do it in between whatever I was doing on the holiday, which is I managed to slot it in, but my internet was quite patchy. But yeah, I would say probably the way we managed to get it done within a week's time is we actually split up the work.
yeah,
So
we definitely
yeah.
were.
Do you want to explain that?
Yeah, I think we did it in quite a smart way. We essentially, if you don't know how programming languages work, basically there's two parts to them. You have what's called a parser, which basically reads the text. So, for example, in Minecraft Datapack, Minecraft have written a program which reads through a Minecraft command and understands what you actually mean by that. Because there's some variation, right? There's some variation in what the commands look like, so you got to have like some sort of program which properly understands what the commands are doing, essentially what the programmer means.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then there's the interpreter, which takes essentially the output that the parser has generated, which is basically a sort of format which is much easier to understand by computers but harder to understand by humans. So the humans write source code which is human readable, and then you have a layer, you have the parser which transforms the human readable source code into slightly less readable but more readable by a computer, and then you have the interpreter which takes that generated output and essentially executes it.
Yeah.
So we basically decided then and there, right at the beginning, that I would do the interpreter, Moxvallix would do the parser, And yeah, we essentially planned out what
what
the actual
the
format of
AST.
the AST as it's called, or abstract syntax tree. We decided what the format of that would be, what it would look like, and then essentially we basically just worked on our two separate halves, mostly independently until near the end, where we put them together and saw the magic, saw the Datapack work its magic, which was
And
pretty cool.
that moment when we finally hooked them up together and they worked, that
Yeah.
felt incredible. That was a great, just one of those moments. I think we've got a clip of it. I think.
Yeah, we have. It's in the YouTube video that I published on my channel about making the Datapack. Yeah, I think that's probably enough talk about that Datapack for now, because we're probably going to do another podcast episode about it, so we
Yeah.
can leave that as it is.
That one's a biggie for us, so we'll definitely be coming back. Don't worry. If you
Yeah.
want to hear more about programming languages in Minecraft, we've got you covered.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna, because there's so much. Since we've been working on it for a year now, we've definitely we've gained a lot of experience for sure in technical data packs.
Definitely. It's gone through a couple rewrites.
Yeah, we've learned how to make a programming language in Minecraft, and we've gone through a lot of problems and solutions along the way. So yeah, I think there's definitely do an episode about that in the future.
Yep.
But yeah, let's talk more about like just technical data packs in general.
I guess I could probably talk a bit about Moxlib. That's something.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Something that I have worked on. I started work on it pretty much after I did the other side. So I took a lot of the concepts I developed from that data pack and I kind of made them into a set of helper functions. So I'll just give a quick overview. Moxlib is a data pack library. So a set of useful functions and other utilities that Datapack developers can use to speed up the process, basically. And Moxlib very much had a focus on data-driven data packs. So working with NBT storage and essentially being able to store key value pairs was a big focus of that data pack, as well as other stuff like I guess what other things does it do? There's a bunch of helper tags, like you can get a block and add a helper tag to set a block. Just stuff that is surprisingly difficult to do dynamically.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of things which you can easily do manually, but you can't do dynamically, and it essentially had all the workarounds for that, and then the person who was making the data pack didn't need to worry about all of that, and that actually saved us a lot of effort, and it probably was the single thing which made it possible to make our programming language in a week, because if you hadn't already made Moxlib, then yeah, we would have had to re-implement all of that functionality ourselves, which probably would have taken
we would have been having to invent the wheel, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I guess I kind of want to delve into a bit the how difficult it used to be handling dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, well, I don't know. Take this how you will, but when they added macros, right, Moxlib became quite, like, semi-obsolete.
Yeah, in fact, like, and I'm almost thankful for it, actually. I mean, there's still, I mean, we're still relying on it for a couple of things in Code of Copper, but a lot of things that were difficult that Moxlib had to work around became pretty easy to do thanks to function macros. And
so
I guess should I explain those briefly? I think
I think we can talk about that. Yeah, I mean, I think function macros really made a lot more things in technical datapacks possible, especially technical datapacks. Because, like, one thing that most regular programming languages rely on is the ability to do things dynamically, which is something that Datapacks don't really support very well. So, like, for example, if you have a list of things, in most programming languages you can just say, okay, give me the nth item in the list, where n is some number that we decide later on, at runtime, basically. In Datapacks, you couldn't really do that, at least not when we originally made Code of Copper, which is the name of our programming language, Datapack. But yeah, function macros, if you want to explain those, they really made a lot of things possible, or at least much easier in technical datapacks.
Yeah. So how function macro works, for those that haven't really toyed around with them, and which I totally understand, they are a little bit to wrap your head around, that's for sure. But essentially, how it works is that you provide a function with a bit of data at a little bit of NBT data when you call it, and this can be from a storage entity or a block, I believe, or you can just write it inline.
Yep.
And then that data gets put in line in, like, it basically gets string replaced into the function before the function is called. So it will take the string representation of the data. So I guess like how it looks if you...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a string of 1 and 0. It's how it looks when you do the data get command and you look in the in the chat. It's pretty much that. So it just puts it right where you've told it to, with a little bit of syntax, and then it runs the function. And what this does is it actually allows you to it opens up the door for so many more dynamic things. Like now you can store in like, let's say you had a list of an array of 10 items, right? There were 10 blocks, so it could be dirt, stone, cobblestone, etc. in this list. And then you generate a random number with the new random function, which they also added, which is very nice. And you can store that number in data storage, and then you can take that number and you can use a macro with it, and then suddenly that number gets put in the array index segment of the data path. So suddenly you can get the random nth item of the array that you've made.
Yeah, which was pretty much impossible to do in a succinct way before. I mean, you could technically iterate through the array, removing the items, incrementing a counter, and then when the counter reaches the number, then you get the first item, but that was a big pain, and it's also really slow, because Datapacks are actually quite slow to run. Which
performance is definitely a concern when you're doing Datapacks.
Yeah, so macros allows you it allows you to do a lot of things dynamically, which either weren't possible before or were very slow and inefficient before. Which is really good, because a lot of Moxlib functions took 50 to 100 commands, for example, to run, which now you can do it in a single macro. And that makes our lives a lot easier, especially when in a datapack like Code of Copper, right, you got to run a lot of those sort of functions very often,
Mm.
which can be quite inefficient.
Yeah. And macros have changed, like, I'd say have pretty much changed the technical data pack landscape, really. Just
For
the
sure.
possibilities that it's opened up is like incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
And
one
I'm,
thing. Yeah,
yeah, I was just going to say, I'm quite excited to see where it can be taken in the future.
yeah, for sure.
Like,
I mean, they've been around for like a few months now, and but yeah, we haven't actually used them that much. I feel like in Code of Copper because basically because most of it was already written before macros were added. We're not actually using macros that much, but we have started to use them in some of the new things we added, and yeah, they make stuff so much easier.
mm, yeah. Um, I mean, when I get back into doing some more data packing, I think I probably will explore macros a bit further. Um,
Yeah,
I have used them. What did I use them for? I was experimenting around with them, but yeah, there's a lot of potential there, and like some really cool things can be done with them. Um, and I mean as well, like the the fun, like there's other changes as well that have been. I'm just going to go on a bit of a tangent. There's other changes as well that Mojang has added quite recently to data packs that have really improved the experience writing them, especially in a
yeah.
technical style, like the return command.
Oh, that was such a lifesaver. It made it so much easier because basically before, um, this is something you don't necessarily do a lot in regular data packs, but you do a lot more in technical data packs. Basically, sometimes you want to say if a certain condition is met, like if an entity is if an entity is in a certain place, or if someone's doing something or something's happening in the world, you want to run a certain set of commands. And the way you'd have to do that before is you'd have to go, okay, you'd have to say if this, well, you have two options. You have to do the check every single time. You go, okay, execute if blah blah blah, do command 1, execute if the same thing, do command 2, etc. Or you could create a function and then you say execute if condition, run this function, and then basically everything in the function, you do everything in the function. Now with return, there's a much nicer way to do that, and you can just say if not this thing, return, and then do the thing, and then that just basically allows you to stop execution of the current function.
Yeah,
And without having to like branch off into separate functions.
yeah, it allows you to use what I've always called the guard clause
Yeah,
in your coding, and it basically, yeah, it means that you can handle all these different edge cases and exceptions in a very clear way, in a very it's a way that's easy to read, and it's just nice rather than having to split into so many different files. Just being able to stop execution is quite a nice quality of life feature, and it really these kind of features that make me feel like they are moving data packs towards a more technical focus, like giving
yeah,
us
like
a bit more tools to work with our data packing. Yeah, you
yeah,
want to go?
yeah. I definitely feel like ever since that's one snapshot, 23W03A, right, where they added the string manipulation feature. I definitely feel like they've added a lot of things to Datapacks which are super useful and super, like, yeah, it definitely feels like they're taking the Datapack community, like, thinking about them and adding features which would be nice for Datapacks, because, like, before that, I feel like Datapacks didn't really have any major changes since, like, 1.14 or something, which was a long time ago. And that
Yeah.
was actually before I started making Datapacks.
Yeah. I mean, World Gen was the main focus for a couple
Yeah,
of years, I feel.
that's true.
116 did a lot with that custom dimensions and stuff. I remember I've forgotten but the Infinity April Fool snapshot was really when they fleshed out all the custom dimension stuff, which
Yeah,
was
right.
super cool. Don't get me wrong, that was like awesome that they did that. But yeah, the data stuff hadn't really changed since 1.15. I feel, which was when they added command storage, which was a good addition.
Alright.
I
Yeah.
mean, well,
And
it's
then,
a good addition that made it so much more efficient to do data manipulation and all that stuff.
yeah, because before, I guess, there was only scoreboards, right?
Entity data manipulation you could
Oh,
do, I
yeah.
think, but I don't even know if you couldn't really. I don't think markers existed at the time, so you couldn't really do arbitrary manipulation there. Yeah, the command storage was a good addition there.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I've actually only been making Datapacks since I think 1.16, so yeah, I basically only really know what changed from then onwards.
yeah,
But yeah, I feel like ever since that snapshot 23W03A for I think 1.19.4 was it? Yeah, that was like the first real like proper Datapack update in a while. Ever since
yeah,
then, they've added so many features. Like, they've added, yeah, they added /return. They added the random command, which is pretty useful. I haven't actually used it that much, but it is just a nice little thing. They added function macros. They added string processing. They added, I'm sure there's more, which I can't think of right now. There's so much
yeah,
stuff that's like most of the things we do in our Code of Copper Datapack are like utilizing all of the new features that they've added in the version since that snapshot basically.
yeah. Oh, thank you.
Um,
And yeah,
oops.
I just remembered where I did use a bunch of those new features. Is I made a Coda Copper extension for a server I was on,
Oh, that's right.
and
Yeah.
I used a lot of like macros and even /random. I think. Or
Yeah,
I
because I
might have
think
used /random, or I might have used Moxvallix random. I don't really remember,
like
but
yeah,
it's so nice to use. Macros are such a such a time saver. And like I could make it play custom music sounds that you give it in the function, and then it just passes that into play sound, and then it starts playing music, which is really fun.
yeah. What I was gonna say is, I think for a certain amount of time we were trying to avoid using like macros and the new features in Code of Copper so that it would be backwards compatible with like older versions.
Yeah, we were targeting 1.20.2, I believe, at the time, right? Was it 1. Or was that when they
Well, I
added
think
macro?
we were even trying to be compatible further back, because that was when they added macros, I believe. We were trying to be
Yeah,
compatible backwards to like 1.20.
yeah.
So yeah, it was quite a while. Like function macros were in the game for quite a while before we actually started properly using them. And then after a certain point, we were like, you know what, this thing can't really be done easily without macros. So I think we're just gonna start using them. And after we
Yeah.
did, it definitely made our lives a lot easier.
Oh, definitely. It's
Like,
such a good feature. Oh,
yeah,
I just got hit by gravel.
um,
Yeah,
yeah. So all of these new things definitely make the developing experience of technical data packs much easier. And yeah, so I think now more than ever is like a really good time to work on technical data packs, because they're definitely possible. They're still, they still require quite a lot of like sort of sideways logic because of how Minecraft Datapacks work. But it is a lot of fun to try and think and sort of form your logic in different ways to to create something which Datapacks weren't necessarily designed for.
Yeah.
And I think, like, that's the thing with a lot of programming languages. Like, I feel like a language is good to learn, not necessarily because you're going to use it, but because it teaches you something about programming. So, for example, right, there are tons of programming languages in the world, and they're all used for different use cases. And each one of them is slightly different in the way that you would program in it. So when you learn a new language, your sort of whole view on programming shifts a little bit depending on which language you're programming in. And I think MC Function, like, there's a few different classes, general classes of programming languages within which it's quite similar concept. So, like, for example, Java and C# are both object-oriented languages, which means that a lot of the features of them are very similar. So if you know one, then you pretty much know the other, and like the sort of the logic is very similar between the two. And then there's like the more functional side of languages, which again is quite a different paradigm and different way of thinking about programming. An MC Function is definitely in neither of those categories, really. It's more like instruction-based programming, which is more like Bash, which is not a language that most people program in, and I can definitely see why. I've tried, and it's not very fun.
Oh no, Bash scripting is a pain.
But I think programming MC Function is like, the reason I enjoy it so much is because it's so much of a challenge, right? You've got to think about, you want to do this thing. I would give an example, but I don't want to spoil too much of our episode for the Code of Copper Datapack. But yeah, you want to do this thing, and you got to figure out how to do it using only the tools that MC Function provides, and it's definitely a lot of fun to do that.
Yeah. Definitely, I agree. There's just something like it's you have to get in a completely different mindset to solve problems in MC Function, because you don't really have variables. You don't have all of these concepts that you like learn to rely on in most other languages. Like even Bash, even though it's like quite rudimentary, Bash does have variables. Bash has like string concatenation.
Yeah.
And, well, I mean, we've got that now as well, but like it has easier string concatenation. It has like loops, and it has all these like control flow that is
Yeah, for sure.
like it's just a more like, I don't know, like MC Function is a really unique language.
It's almost like programming in assembly, right? Like,
yeah.
So
it's
in
like
a higher level language, right, you have all these concepts of, yeah, exactly, you got loops and like the stack, which probably most programmers don't even know what that is, and like the way that works when functions are called and everything.
Yeah.
That is like a higher level concept which doesn't exist really in assembly, and again, it also doesn't exist in MC Function. So you got to like
do it
use
yourself.
these sort of workarounds and create these structures yourself. And that is definitely very prevalent in technical data packs, because you don't need the stack if you're making custom items or like an adventure data pack or something. You're not going to need to use the stack for that. But but if you're making something like your own programming language, as you'll probably see when we make a podcast episode about that, the stack is extremely useful and pretty much necessary for a lot of things. So yeah, you got to sort of like reinvent a lot of the concepts which you almost take for granted in other programming languages, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you make data packs, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it as like a beginner thing, because it's definitely a more advanced kind of data pack. But if you've been making data packs for a while, and and you want to try something new, it's definitely a lot of fun to try and make a technical data pack. Cause
definitely.
it forces you to think in a different way than usual.
Yeah. I can certainly recommend it. It's fun, and I'll also say I learned a lot doing it. A little bit about me: I'm a pretty much a full-time programmer, but I mean, my style of programming, I program in Ruby, which is a very dynamic language, very interpreted dynamic language that you can pretty much do whatever you want with it, and it kind of just lets you do it. Oh no, there's a witch.
Yeah.
Hang on, I gotta run. But yeah, and so I've never had to use a stack really in that language. I mean, like,
No,
I don't even use for loops.
Yeah.
Ruby has a method called .each, and you pass it a block, and it handles the looping over the array or the hash or whatever you're using for you. So, I mean, a lot of quality of life stuff in that language, but it means I don't really do as much of the low level stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could do a bit of Rust, I could do a bit of C, or, could do it in Minecraft, make Datapacks, and I can really learn these concepts like stacks.
So
and all this stuff.
it's actually probably almost like it's kind of a good way to learn about these things, because you get to like implement. Oh, okay. I just fell quite a long way in Minecraft, so that's why I suddenly made that noise. Anyway, what I was going to say
explain for anyone that's not that is audio only. We're actually playing Minecraft at the same time as this. You may have already picked this up throughout the video or throughout the podcast, but I don't think we've said it formally, so I'm just gonna put that one there.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyway, yes, we are doing that. So, yeah, if you're wondering what all those sort of references to Minecraft are while we've been talking, that is why. But yeah, as I was saying, like, programming an MC function is like a way to sort of learn about these different concepts, and you sort of get to almost reinvent the wheel, and like create these concepts and implement them in MC function, which again, it's a bit like programming an assembly. If you program in assembly, you will have to create your own version of all these features which you take for granted in other programming languages. And
I mean, the other element I think that's quite fun about it as well is that feeling that you're doing something that, like, you're exploring territory, doing something that no one's done before. Because technical Minecraft is quite, not technical Minecraft, technical data packing is quite niche.
Definitely.
If you look on like Planet Minecraft, the majority of data packs you're gonna see are, custom items, Minecraft, but the sky is green. I don't know, like challenge data packs, and there's a lot of merit to those. There's people have made some incredible stuff. There's spells, world gen, like the Tectonic comes to mind in that department. Incredible, data packs, but you don't see many. I mean, programming languages, regex libraries, like
No,
computer sciencey stuff. And I mean, fair. Your
because the
average
people,
Minecraft player isn't going to
yeah,
be interested in that. But at the same time, you're tackling a task, you're solving a problem that hasn't been solved in this way before.
yeah, it's
You're
definitely, yeah,
you're doing things with Minecraft that no one else, to your knowledge, has done before. And I find that quite appealing because Minecraft's such a popular game. You
yeah,
can there's so many areas in Minecraft that it's like, oh, someone's already done this before, you know? Someone's already figured this out. There's already the optimum farm to produce this item, right? Someone already figured that out.
mm,
You know, they did the math. There's already the ultimate way of getting, I don't know, beating the Ender Dragon, right? People do that in
yeah,
like 7 minutes or something, right? Insane, like, optimizations in most areas of the game. Ooh, actually, we've got a deep dark over here. Um, but yeah, technical data packing is an area that not many people explore for obvious reasons.
yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure that Code of Copper was like pretty much the first written programming language in vanilla Minecraft using Datapacks. I mean, sure,
yeah,
people have made modded languages before.
yep,
I know that, but
yeah.
nobody's
There's
really
the
made one in Datapack before us because, well, we literally started making it like the same week the snapshot came out, making it all possible.
mm,
And yeah, it's quite, yeah, yeah. There's definitely something appealing about doing something that's never been done before, and also it's very satisfying. Like when you're looking at data packs and like thinking about how you would make this thing in this really hacky workaroundy way,
mm,
you know, and then it works. There's something really satisfying about that, and
yeah.
just like having it work. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely,
They're like the fact that you can theorize. What if we could do that? You know, you can
yeah,
theorize it, you can plan it out, and then you can see it come to fruition.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. So yeah,
yeah,
we were like,
and
what if we made a programming language in Minecraft? Is that possible? And then we made it, and it turned out it was possible. And then yeah, it was just really cool to see that like, yeah, we made that and it works.
yeah, and not only was it possible, there's a lot of things we could do. There's a lot of features that we could do. Are you running back to get iron for these diamonds?
Oh, no, I didn't see the
Or did you?
diamonds.
You didn't see the diamonds? Oh, I shouldn't have said anything. They're right here. Yeah, like there's a like we'll talk about this more in our Coda Copper video or podcast. Um, but there's a lot you can do. Like there's a lot we could do with Coda Copper
Mm,
that just never would have thought would have been possible.
yeah,
Um, like I implemented a sorting algorithm. Like
yeah,
it's not efficient. No, not at all. Um, quite slow, but it's a full quick sort algorithm. And just that feeling of I went on Wikipedia, I looked up how the algorithm worked, I saw some code examples, and then I worked out how to implement it. And that that felt awesome.
yeah. I keep like now that we've done Code of Copper and we can see that, and I can see that like a lot of things which you do in, you know, typically, you know, other programming languages are possible in Minecraft Datapacks. I keep thinking to myself, like, whenever I come across something, wouldn't it be cool to make that in Minecraft? So, like, I don't know. For example, a while ago, I was exploring how neural networks work, right? Because AI is you know, it's the thing of the moment, right? Everyone's talking about AI and what it's about, right? And what I wanted to learn is how a neural network actually works.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I did some online research and I implemented like a little thing which, you know, is like a very simple neural network that controls a self-driving car.
Yeah, cool.
Oops.
Oh, I'm gonna get your stuff.
Yeah.
It's attacking you. Oh, I killed your dog.
No, you
Dang
didn't.
it.
He
Oh, I
teleported
teleported
to me.
Okay. Thank goodness. Thank goodness the dog didn't die.
But yeah, so then I thought, okay, right, so I made a neural network, right? It's pretty cool, you know, it controls a car which learns to drive itself. But you know what would be even cooler? Making that in Minecraft, right? In
Oh,
vanilla
that would be so
Minecraft
cool.
using only commands.
Yes.
So I think I'm probably giving a bit of a spoiler here, because I think I'm going to make a video about that, and I'm going to try and make a neural network in Minecraft and have it control a little car that drives around the Minecraft terrain.
That's cool.
And yeah, so I'm pretty sure that should be possible. It probably won't be very efficient, but at least I can do it, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's just so cool that it's like stuff like that is possible within Minecraft. And that's actually why I like playing Minecraft so much, right? So I love playing Minecraft. It's my favorite game. It's one of the only video games I play, actually, because it's so like versatile. There's so much stuff you can do.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can really, there's something in Minecraft for everyone, right? If you're a programmer, you can make Minecraft Datapacks. If you're more of like someone who likes a challenge, you can play survival, and you can do like, you know, crazy stuff in survival. If you're more of a creative person, you can build stuff in creative. If you know, if you're like someone who likes to like get the optimum way of doing something in a game, you can make farms. You know, there's something in it for everyone, and really, you can basically do anything in it, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, with Datapacks, you can pretty much do whatever you want, including making a neural network, which I just think is such a cool thing about, and such a unique thing I feel like about this game, which
Yeah.
which which isn't in a lot of games. Like, most games don't have a way for you to just add arbitrary content to it. I mean, yeah, I mean, technically you can like mod some games and change them and stuff, but like Datapacks is technically vanilla Minecraft, right?
Yeah. I
It's
mean, it's
officially
built into
supported by the game.
Yeah. I mean, it's the game's internal command system slightly modified, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot more complicated than that, I'm sure, behind the scenes, but that's effectively like what it is if you sum it up.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is super cool that like we've been given these tools to work with. I mean, there is also something to be said about the like how there's not really any official modding support. I mean, there's technically
Yeah.
they've gotten better. They've given obviously the decompilation symbols, I believe, for Minecraft nowadays. They didn't used to do that.
Right.
But still, like, Bedrock Edition's got its own modding API, but
Yeah.
Java Edition still doesn't. But we do have Datapacks, which is nice.
Yeah. And yeah, so
and
if you really want to make something like that adds tons of content and completely reworks the game, you have to use a mod. You still can't do everything with Datapacks, but you can do a lot.
You can do anything a computer can do.
Yeah, I mean, we have proven with, I mean, I first technically proved it with Fungecraft, and then we proved again with Code of Copper. Minecraft is Turing complete, which, if you don't know what that means, it means, yeah, it's just as powerful as the computer sitting on your desk that you're watching this on. You may not be watching this on a computer, but it's just as powerful, theoretically anyway, as a computer or a phone, right? Obviously,
It has the
can't...
same capabilities.
Yeah, it's the same capabilities, exactly. It's not nearly as fast or efficient or anything, but yeah, it can do all of the same things,
Yep.
which which is pretty cool. So yeah, I think with that we can probably wrap up this episode.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's given like a bit of an insight into the world of technical data packs and yeah, why they're so cool and yeah, why we enjoy doing them so much.
And
Yeah.
why you should try out doing them for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you don't know where to start, you could try looking at our Code of Copper code. It's all publicly available on GitHub, so you can take a look at all the code. If you want, you can contribute to it. That would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, I mean, that has a lot of examples of different things that you can do with technical data packs. And so yeah, it just gives you a good idea of the things that are possible, how to do them. And then yeah, feel free to, make whatever you want and just play around with it because it's a lot of fun.
And
yeah,
if you don't know how to achieve something, or you want don't don't be afraid to just look up how other people have done it. Like even implementations of it in languages outside of MC function will give you a good overview of the logic of how to complete something.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
it's quite fun to try and translate that logic then into Minecraft.
yeah. That's definitely a fun thing to do. Yeah, like that is definitely something that I did because, for example, a programming language, I have implemented a programming language before in other languages, but then yeah, it was translating that concept and that logic into Minecraft, which was like really the fun part. Because obviously, as we've said before, a lot of the concepts available to you, or like the features available to you in other languages, aren't in MC function by default. So yeah, it's just fun to try and use what you got to create things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that thus ends the first episode of the Datapack podcast. Thank you for listening if you made it all the way to the end, which I assume you did if you are still listening. And yeah, I will leave a link to our Discord server in the description, so if you want to join it and, have a conversation with us about anything, technical data packs, this podcast, whatever you want really, we'll be there and we'll try to answer all of your questions. And yeah, if you need help with a technical data pack, we're experienced now, so yeah,
we're always happy to help.
Give you some guidance on that. And yeah, so I think technical Minecraft data packs is like an aspect of it that it is quite new, I feel like. It's quite a young area of data packs, at least, especially because a lot of the things that make data packs possible, make technical data packs possible, have just recently been added. So I'm really excited to see what happens with them in the future, and yeah, just interested to see what people come up with and where Datapacks goes, and definitely what new features gets added to Minecraft and what we can do in the future. Yeah. Any final remarks from you, Moxvallix?
Well, I think you summed it up quite nicely. I will say that Wikipedia is a great resource for finding out about new computer science topics.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's a great resource for everything, really. But I've used it a ton in the past just for working on Datapack stuff. And I mean, even if you don't fully learn the implementation from there, there's plenty of links underneath, and it's just a good jumping off start point, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be afraid to just look something up if you don't know it. I mean, it's always nice to, try and figure something out for yourself, but do also remember that other people have solved these things before, and you can learn from them.
Again, thank you for listening, and that is the end of the first episode of the Datapack podcast. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sure we'll be back for another episode at some point, hopefully soon, and yeah, I guess we will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.